Hey guys, this is Prime and welcome back. Today's video is going to be all about Wolverine. Wolverine. So don't go away. Stay right there, bub. Wolverine was actually not created by Stan Lee. I know a lot of people think that he actually was created by Stan Lee. Stan Lee actually created the Xmen, but not actual Wolverine. Wolverine was created in part by John Romita Jr. in 1974. So Wolverine first appeared in the comics against the Incredible Hulk. He was a guest star. He was more like a villain initially because he was fighting the Hulk, and the Hulk was, the hero of the Incredible Hulk comics, even though he's a big green monster up in Canada. And Wolverine has also been known in the comics to have either bone claws or adamantium claws. And there's been a lot of discussion in the comics and in media, like on TV, about if Wolverine has bone claws or did he actually get his claws from the Weapon X project, which was the program he was forced into by the Canadian government.
Excuse me, Wolverine Origin miniseries issue 2, page 22, retractable bone claws. If you people spent less time thinking about sex and more time concentrating on comic books, we'd have far fewer of these embarrassing moments.
Before we get into the early life in the comics of Wolverine, just want to bring it to your attention. Most people already know, but I'll just say it anyway. Wolverine is a mutant. He was born with abilities. He was born with a healing factor, so he can't actually get drunk because his healing factor kicks in, and so he can drink and drink and drink and never get drunk, right? And the other mutant ability besides the healing factor is his wild instincts to sniff like an animal, like a Wolverine, and that helps him get out of some pretty sticky situations. And then obviously his claws. But we'll get into that. So a little bit about the early life of Wolverine in the comics. Wolverine grew up as a kid in northern Alberta, near Cold Lake, Alberta, Canada. And his name was James Howlett. And the parents that looked after him was John and Elizabeth Howlett. One of the employees of the Howletts looked after the grounds and the garden and did all the physical work on the outside. His name was Thomas Logan, and he was actually the biological father of James Howlett, aka Wolverine. And out of frustration and jealousy, he killed John Howlett, Wolverine's adopted father, which he thought was his father at the time. Out of the time and emotion, James first emerged with his bone claws and killed Thomas Logan.
Wasn't your father.
Later on in life, when he gets a bit older, James leaves Alberta with his childhood friend Rose and go to the Yukon, where he adopts his name, Logan. And then a little bit of time passes, and after the death of Rose, Logan, out of frustration and heart loss from Rose passing away, he joins a pack of wolves with his animal instincts, eventually until he's founded by a team of circus performers. Now, I just want to make it clear that he didn't voluntarily join the circus like some other stories are. Logan was actually captured and then forced into the circus. Eventually, the character Saul Creed and his sister Clara go to the circus and rescue Logan from the circus. And fun fact, Saul Creed's brother is Sabretooth. Saul is not to be trusted. He actually makes plans with Nathaniel Essex, or aka Mr. Sinister, and delivers both of them, Clara, Creed, and Logan, to Mr. Sinister to be tested on. Eventually, Logan does escape from Mr. Sinister, but when he does, he finds this new tribe, the Blackfoot tribe, and that's where he finds his next love of his life, Silver Fox, and he starts a romantic relationship. Eventually afterwards, Silver Fox is believed to be dead, murdered by Victor Creed, aka Sabretooth, and it threw Wolverine, again, a lot of heartache, and he leaves and joins the Canadian military in World War I. After World War I completed, and then the next World War started, World War II, Wolverine continues to fight in the war for Canada, and he works with our American allies, with their super soldier, Captain America, to fight the Nazis.
Hey, what's wrong, punks? Run out of kids to rough up?
And during the time in World War II, Wolverine does come across one of Russia's top secret experiments, Omega Red, which becomes one of his bigger enemies in the comics as well. While fighting in World War II, one of the teams that Logan was a part of the Canadian military, was the Canadian Parachute Battalion. A little bit about the 1st Canadian Parachute Battalion. There was a section of the military that was formed in 1942, and it served in Northwest Europe, landing in Normandy during Operation Tonga in 1944, with the landing on D-Day.
It was absolutely massive. This was the final big push and battle of the war.
After World War II is done, Logan decides to move to Japan, and there he meets his future wife, Itsu, and eventually at some point afterwards, they run into a crime boss named Romulus, and Romulus wanted to kill Itsu, and he paid off the Russian government, or the government that was controlling the Winter Soldier at that time, because if you remember in the movies and also in the comics, that the Winter Soldier was being controlled by the Nazis and the Russians. And so he's paid off to kill Itsu. Now, a little bit about the crime boss Romulus. Romulus claims that he is descendant of a lupine. And you may be wondering, what the heck is a lupine? If you follow evolution, humans were descendants from apes. Lupines believe that they were descendants from dogs, even though there's tons of dogs out today. But so he was kind of like a mix between a human and a dog. He was probably a mutant, but that he believed that he was a descendant from a dog. During the time that the Winter Soldier kills Logan's wife, Itsu was pregnant, and Logan thought Itsu and their baby Daken died in the event. But Daken actually survived and was trained as an assassin by the crime boss Romulus. After the tragic events in Japan, Logan decides to come back to North America, to the United States, and joins the CIA in a Project Black Ops group called Team X. During his time there with the CIA, he was actually brainwashed, and they did some programming in his head, and they planted false memories. Eventually, Logan was able to break the control, and he actually left the CIA and went back to Canada and joined the Canadian Ministry of Defense. After some time working for the Ministry of Defense in Canada, Logan is kidnapped and forced into another government project called the Weapon X Project, which he is forced into having adamantium bonded to his skeleton, including his bone claws, and the only way he survived was because of his extreme healing abilities. And a couple other big name characters that was part of the Weapon X project was Sabretooth and Deadpool. After having adamantium bonded to his skeleton, eventually he is able to escape the Weapon X program and is befriended by James and Heather Hudson. Eventually, a little time later, Logan decides to join Department H, which is another secret intelligence organization by the Canadian government. But doing this, he didn't actually know that Weapon X was also a secret part of the government as well. Now that completes the early life of Logan, but now we're going to focus on what happens in the 1970s in the comics for Logan, aka Wolverine. While being part of Department H, Logan decides to take on the persona as the Wolverine, and that's where his famous name comes from. And some of the other teammates that he works with that are also Canadian superheroes are the Sasquatch, and his name is Walter Langowski, and he is a hairy beast. If you've ever heard of all the fabled Sasquatch sightings or Bigfoot, they actually made him based off of that, and he joins the team coming from Vancouver, BC. Next member is North Star, and he actually comes from Montreal, Quebec. He is a mutant, and his name is Jean-Paul Bibier. And his mutant ability is super speed, and he can create lights out of thin air. The next member is Aurora, and Aurora is also the twin sister of Jean-Paul, as I just spoke about, and she has the same mutant abilities as Jean-Paul, but she can also fly, and she does deal with multiple personalities. The next member is the Shaman. His name is Michael. I'm not going to pronounce the last name, but it's on the screen, and he is from Calgary, and he is the medicine man from the First Nations tribe. And his abilities, he practices medicine, and he's also a sorcerer. Another member of the team is Snowbird, and Snowbird is from Yellowknife in Northwest Territories, and her name is Naya, and her ability is she can change and become any type of northern animal in northern Canada. And the last member of the Department H's superhero team, or known as Alpha Flight, his name is James Hudson, who helped Logan recover from the Weapon X project. And he actually went by a couple different names. One of them was Guardian, another one was Weapon Alpha, and the other one was Vindicator. And basically he uses this suit that gives him abilities, and he uses this suit to fly, and he can manipulate Earth's magnetic fields, and originally he was from London, Ontario. Eventually, one of the missions Logan or Wolverine was assigned to do is to investigate the fight between the Incredible Hulk, this is where he fights the Incredible Hulk, and Wendigo.
I don't suppose you got any interest in talking this out.
So Wendigo is this big white hairy monster in northern Canada, and he is not a guy you want to get involved with. He'll eat anything, and I mean anything. He's actually a cannibal, and in one of the myths that Marvel took inspiration from to create the character, in some Aboriginal legends, talks about if you take part of being a cannibal or cannibalism, you'd become the Wendigo. And so by doing that, based it off of belief. And so they made the monster Wendigo. And so he was an enemy of the Hulk, big-sized monster fighting the Hulk. It just kind of made sense. And he's also an enemy of Wolverine as well. He's actually a villain in one of the Wolverine video games. Eventually, after Alpha Flight or Department H disbands, Logan is actually recruited by Professor Charles Xavier of the Xmen.
Alpha Flight. Forget it, Vindicator. You can send every mutant in Canada after me. I ain't coming back.
When he joins the X-Men, some of the famous members of the X-Men that's on the team at that point in time are Cyclops, Nightcrawler, Jean Grey, Bishop, Colossus, Storm, and Banshee. Now, during this time when Logan joins the X-Men, this is the start of the love triangle between Logan, or Wolverine, Cyclops, and Jean Grey.
Who's the redhead?
The telepath I told you about. You'll soon meet her, along with the others.
Looking forward to it.